Actually, it was Chris's idea that I document my Kambo experience. Did you hear the monkeys? When he first said it, I was like, what do you mean document it? I'm gonna be puking. What do you mean document it? And he's like, no, your intentions for it, and sort of a before and after, and these starred monkeys. I didn't know all that much about it. I knew it was purging medicine, which I've learned that it's a lot more than that. I knew it was relatively short, and you get a bucket and you probably puke and you release whatever you need to release, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, whatever, energetically. So it came sort of into my field pretty quickly, and I've been sitting with some yucky, I've been calling it muck, some clearly sticky subconscious under the layer, heavy stuff that has come up, and I've been sitting with it, and it needs to go. It's not welcome here anymore. It's yucky. It's not mine. It's time to go. So that's really, I think, what brought me to looking at something like Kambo. It sort of came into my field, and it was a day or two of seeing signs for it. One night I looked into it a little bit more. I was reading it, and I'm like, this sounds pretty incredible. This medicine, the peptides, and the potential benefits, and there's like multiple offerings of it here in Samara, where I am in Costa Rica. And I woke up in the morning and I said in front of my family, okay, God, universe, I'm asking for a sign. Show me a sign. If this is meant for me, show me a frog. We've been on this trip for 3 months, haven't seen any frogs. Show me a frog. Okay, done. I'm not going to be looking for it. Just show it to me if this is meant for me. And we went out for the day, and we came back, and I was still sitting in the driveway in the car, and Ellie and Layla and Chris had gone around the house to jump in the pool. And like a minute later, Ellie comes running back. She's like, Mom, you gotta come see this. Come now. And the first thought I had was, is it a freaking frog? And got out of the car, ran around, and Chris had the big pool cleaning net, and he was pulling a frog, like almost like a toad, like a huge frog, out of the pool. Apparently Ellie had seen a spider and asked him to clean out the spider, and he went to clear out the spider, and there was a frog. And so we're sitting there looking at a frog in a net in a pool hours after I had asked for a sign, and just like hysterically laughing. And then frogs, I don't know if it was the same frog, I don't know if it was different frogs, but they proceeded to show up again that night. The next morning, I think the next day, there was another one in the pool. The next night, we were hearing one. I think we saw one again. Anyways, frogs all around. Okay, so reached out, got some more information, got in touch with a practitioner. This particular practitioner is a former nurse. She performs a ceremony with her husband, who is former EMT in the military, and I think they both have military background, and they come as a pair. I felt super good talking to her on the phone, felt super comfortable. I decided to do more than one ceremony. I decided to do 3. It really made sense to do a series of 3, see how my body liked it, responded to it, and then target different things. I did a first session on Tuesday, second session on Wednesday, and then the following week, I did my third session on Wednesday. So basically within 1 week, I did 3 sessions. They really recommend to do your 3 sessions within a moon cycle. So I was clear on that. I felt good. I felt good going into it each time. I just felt like this was right. I felt like I was ready. I felt, a little bit nervous for the discomfort that I knew was coming. I don't know, I don't want to skip ahead, but there's a lot of parallels there, right? With like sitting in discomfort, knowing there's another side, knowing it's not forever, knowing it's ultimately for your benefit. There's a lot of parallels, right? So the discomfort didn't steer me away from it. I was excited, really, because my intentions were clear. My intentions for the first ceremony were almost all emotional, mental, clearing blocks related. I added in a few physical intentions after talking to the practitioner and understanding how much of a physical benefit there is with this medicine. The one thing she said to me on our phone call before all the ceremonies, she's like, you may not purge. It looks different for everybody. And the most important part is to sit with the medicine and receive the medicine as long as possible, really, and receive all the beautiful benefits of these peptides they're like rewiring my nervous system and changing me on a cellular level. Like, receive the medicine. That's what it's about. And I didn't understand that before. And I'm so glad she told me that, because it took, well, one, because it's really freaking cool. And two, it took the pressure off. Like, I was sitting in ceremony in the moments, reminding myself there's nothing I have to do. It's not about doing it right. It's not about doing this. I think that's so important for us, especially us like doers, right? Like, if we're not doing it right, if we're not doing enough, if we're, doing it wrong, and it's just so much about doing it. And this was just like, I don't have to do anything. I just have to receive. I have to breathe. I have to receive. That's it. Again, so many parallels. I feel like I could go through the ceremonies and tell you so many moments that just parallel life and my current reality, at least. My intentions for the first ceremony. Okay, this was one. To remove and release the energy of not believing myself capable and worthy of receiving abundance, receiving all amazing gifts life has to offer. To let go fully of the lies that make me not entirely trust myself and my capabilities and my authority. To release stuck energy from my body, anger and frustration from my liver, and fear from my kidneys. Basically, I was really aware that all of this stuff, all these thought patterns, all these limiting beliefs, all of these just like old yucky patterns were coming up for me to look at and get rid of. I mean, I'm sick of feeling like I'm not capable. I'm sick of feeling like I'm not worthy. I'm sick of feeling like no matter what I do, I'm never going to receive what I'm worth, or I can't provide financially for my family, there's so many layers to these things, and I want them gone. I'm out here, on this quest, this trip, this journey, or we are co-creating and building and like high on creating a new version of our life. And it just occurred to me, like, a new version of me is required first, because there's so many stories I tell myself that are holding me back, that are getting in my way. And the feeling, like, when you take responsibility for your part in maybe something not working out or something not showing up or this pattern, it's hardcore. It humbles you. And I want to get out of my way. And I know this is ongoing, and I'm not here saying, oh, I'm going to do 3 sessions of Kambo and, do this period of healing, deep dive work and like poof. But I'm throwing everything at this because I'm ready. I'm ready to move forward. So a lot of my intentions were around that. All right, day 1, sat down, we cleansed the space. I drank a huge glass of blended papaya juice, basically. And then a good amount of water with electrolytes. And then it was time to, set our intentions. I received the medicine on a little stick. I set my intentions, and Nika came over and burned the ports. We started with 4 ports. She just burns the top, very, very, very top layer of the skin. It doesn't bleed. So she started with 4 and it was time to start, and she placed the medicine. I think she did 1 at a time, or maybe she started with 2. Kind of a like hello to the medicine. My heart started beating so fast, so loud. I was almost like, it sounded like a frog. It was like, dum, 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 dum. There's so like a constriction feeling. It was like a racing. And I will say, I never really felt that again to that extent. It was a like, hello. And all right, here we begin. And I sat with like 3 or 4 of the ports now, with the medicine on them. And I was sitting there for a while, and she's like, you're tolerating things beautifully. You're doing great. Can I burn 2 more? So I got a total of 6. And for a long time, there was medicine on the 6 ports. And it wasn't until the last 10 minutes. I remember she told me I had 10 minutes more, and it got really intense at that point. I mean, just the nausea. It's just like, I mean, it's the worst. It's like, and I'm not a good puker. It takes me a lot. I just like sit right in that like miserable state of like needing to throw up, but can't get it out. It's horrible. I don't know how to say it. It's horrible. But I'm just repeating in my head, like, I received this medicine. I received this medicine. I received this medicine. I received this medicine. Like, that's my job. I don't need to worry about when I'm going to throw up. I don't need to worry about anything. She asked if I wanted to get up and walk. No. She asked if I wanted to drink water. No. Which I've since talked to a friend who said drinking water, like there are some practitioners that have you drink water throughout to encourage the purge. So it was at the very end, and she came over to take the medicine off. And at that very moment, I released. I puked, I purged. They pulled away one of the buckets, gave me another one, and there was one more like deep purge into that bucket. And then the buckets are removed. I lay down. You instantly start feeling relief. And I lay down with a eye mask and I don't know, maybe laid there for 15 or 20 minutes. And just like came back to center and just started feeling so much better. It turns out I sat with it for 55 minutes, which is pretty long. And yeah, it was that last second that I purged. And then we were able to look at the buckets. And the first one, she smelled heavy metals. She saw candida. And then in the second one, she was like, look at this, and showed me the bowl. And there was a huge parasite just chilling. And at that point, I'm like, thank God I puked because get that shit out of me. I was shocked, and that had been the last, like, so I was super happy to have that out of me. I felt good. She told me my immune system looked really strong. She has her little ways of seeing that. Okay, I remember as I was throwing up, she had told me, like, come back to your intention, come back to your intention. And so as I'm throwing up, I was remembering what I intended to release. Let it go. That doubt in myself, the lies that limit me, the blocks from receiving life's gifts. Yeah, that felt super powerful. That's pretty much it from the first session. When they came over the next morning for round 2, I remember asking Mika, I'm like, it's not a psychedelic experience. I didn't feel like I had a whole lot to integrate. I felt good. I had felt lighter the days before the ceremony. Like I felt lighter going into it than I did, like, say, when I booked it. I said I didn't feel like there was that much that I needed to integrate. Like I journaled a little bit, but it seemed more physical, and that was fine. I was totally fine with that. And she recommended, she's like, sometimes, when you're laying there afterwards, like ask questions in the form of how, and like messages might come to you. Anyway, she had given me that tidbit. She also said on session number 3, we would be targeting emotional centers more. So maybe more would come through then that needed integrating. But I was fine with it. I was just curious. So I wrote new intentions. I intended to rid my body of any foreign invaders or foreign energy negatively affecting my health, well-being, vitality, ability to receive all gifts of life. to clear any blocks or clogged channels to my higher self, to and from my heart, to God, to divine messages, to clear my mind of worry and replace with trust and surrender. So those were my intentions for the second ceremony. I was good. We were chatting. Somehow the conversation of vultures came up, and I was sharing how vultures had been like around us. And there are these like black-head vultures with like white stripes on the wings. And instantly the husband like lit up and he's like, oh my God. And we were talking about vultures and how magical they are, and they fly the highest of any birds, and they're thought to be, you know, the closest to the other realm, and they like live between this realm and the higher realms, and they come and they take waste and they transmute it. They're like the master alchemizers, and you know, life and death, cycle, what am I trying to say? Death and rebirth, I think is what I was trying to say. And they're just really cool messengers. And lo and behold, as the ceremony starts, the vultures come and they're swooping in, and we're like, what? And so ceremony's beginning, and so my eyes are open because I'm watching. That was really cool. And then they went away, and then they came back right at the end of the ceremony, I think right when it was ending. So that felt really magical. So this session was my favorite. And that's because messages felt like they were coming in. So I felt worse for longer this second session, but I was really like in the zone, and I got some really, really, really cool messages, some big ones. And the biggest one being, there was one point where I saw my mom and grandma like behind me, and you know what we understand about healing. When you heal yourself, you heal for 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. So it was like I was seeing this line. It was my mom and my grandma. That's who I know of this. That's how far I know of this lineage. And I could see my daughters in front of me. And the theme was all about receiving, because that is really what all this muck that I've been sitting with, like that all boils down to that. My ability to receive and truly, truly trust that I can receive, trust that I'm capable of receiving, trust that I am worthy of receiving, and believe that I will receive. I can receive. I do receive in this life. So I'm seeing this lineage, and I'm hearing over and over, you are the change point. You are the change point. You are the change point. And it's like, this is so simple. This is not like new concepts for me. We could have talked about this 100 times, but something about this moment, it was like, dunk, dunk. And if you've ever had like a knowing just like come into your body, it's like when awareness comes down into like knowing. It's like that knowledge to wisdom thing. It's like dunk. It's like in your body. It's like embodied. And it just like came in where it was like, I'm the change point. I've always known I'm a change point for my lineage. So many of us right now are like, we're doing this work to be these change points. I've never heard it called change point. Pattern breakers, disruptors, whatever, a million things, but it was coming to me in change point. So that's what I'm using. And it was just this message around like looking at my daughters and seeing like no one deserves to receive more than them. Like they are worthy of receiving. They deserve to receive. And
receive who, what, where, when, why.
Everything, baby. Everything. What? That's so beautiful. Okay, yeah. So I'm seeing this line, and I'm seeing me as the change point. And it was, again, so simple, but just this aha moment of, this is my role. I have to receive. I have to. If I am the change point, that means I have to receive in ways that my lineage hasn't, and definitely in ways that in this lifetime I haven't. It is my duty. It is my, like, it just became so clear that this whole idea of, can I receive? Will I receive? Am I worthy of receiving? Was just like, I have to receive. We all do. We all do. It's just hard for some of us, but it just became this like landed like fact that I have to, and I will do it for me, but I will do it for my daughters and the lineage that comes after me, and I will do it for the 7 generations back. And it just felt so good. It just felt like this embodied knowing, and it was so comforting. I purged again at the very, very end, and it felt like it was digging so deep. I mean, there was one point where I was like, ah! Like I was like screaming. It was so deep and like, yeah, that kind of guttural. And I just remember, I mean, at one point I was like, yeah, I was like, I release to make space to receive. And it was just this full circle thing. And it felt so good. I release for these generations. I release for these generations, and I'm making so much space. And there weren't any like huge parasites this time. There were little ones. There was lots of little ones, and there was more candida and heavy metals. So I love getting that out of my body. But the messages coming in felt like the biggest gifts. And then I laid down with the eye mask. Oh, and by the way, I guess like a monkey came, and I don't know, there was like all these beautiful creatures around us. I put my eye mask on and proceeded to have this beautiful Q&A session with divine source, my higher self, with God, with the divine source energy. The messages that came through there, like a whole Q&A session, were just gifts. Again, nothing like I didn't really know before, nothing mind-blowing, but just this solid like understanding. Everything is energy. And what if we just create the container and truly let energy, or I'm sure you can use so many other words in place of energy. This was just the word that kept coming through. It was like, let energy do the rest. And it was just this like allowance, also receiving energy of like, there's so much pressure on us to do it all. And what if we just create the environment? What if we just create the mindset? What if we just create the focus and the perspective and the aligned action, of course, but let energy do its part. Like, it's so real. It's so powerful. Maybe this doesn't even totally land with everybody. For me, it landed. And it was just this like, it was just this relief. It was just this relief that it's not all on me to figure it out all the time. If I am focusing on what is important, if I'm focusing on the areas of my life that are already abundant, if I'm focusing on gratitude, if my mindset is healthy and my perspective is strong, and I can just trust that I'm on the right path and that it will work out. It always does. And it's so beautiful that way. I asked other questions. I asked how do I open my heart more? And right then the song lyrics said alegría. And it was like joy. And it's like by being in more and more moments of joy and being present in them and acknowledging them and being in that energy of what I want more of. Same with abundance. Like, how do I receive more abundance? By being in the areas of my life, by focusing on the areas of my life that are abundant. I am abundant in love. So abundant. I'm abundant in health. Like, there's so much abundance in my life. Focus there. And that is going to attract more of that energy, and it will come in more and more forms, and it will just expand. And it just felt so clear and so like duh. And I asked more and more questions. There was a little part at the end where I was asking about my chocolate addiction. And I will say it's been a little over a week, and I'm not like gorging out on chocolate the same. I'm still having it. I still love it. But it was this whole message about like, what if the ultimate love is in like obsession? What if the ultimate form of love is in like needing something all the time? Because I've been so afraid of like, if I give up chocolate, well, first of all, you know, there's like a whole dopamine connection, and there's like I have like a soul tie to cacao, I think. There's all that, but I think there's part of me that's worried about if I give it up or even like cut back, does that mean I love it less? And there was these messages around, oh my God, am I even gonna keep this in? This is so silly. I haven't even told very many people this at all. But another parallel to life, right? Like, do I really need to overdo it with something that I love so much? Or can I just love it and be in more sacred, selective, communal experiences with it? So I'm playing with that. That was super exciting. And that was just a little bonus. So there was a lot in session number 2 that I loved. Definitely my favorite by far. Session number 3, we had moved to this Airbnb. We were evacuated more or less because of a fire. Still a great private space to do it. And that morning, Chris did a session as well. And so it was later by the time I started, and I don't fast. It was hard for me to fast that long, honestly. But drank my papaya drink and had my electrolytes and water, and didn't end up purging time 3. And we targeted emotional points. So I have, we started with 3 ports on either side here. Started with 3. We didn't think we were gonna need more than that, but I was able to sit with it. I actually did get up about 20 minutes in. All 6 were on at that point. And I went to the bathroom and released a little bit there. Well, also that morning I woke up with my period. So I think that changes things a little bit, but obviously it was already like releasing. And they warned me that I might get super emotional. I might cry, scream, whatever. And I was like, I'm here for it. Like, the emotions are what brought me to Kambo. Like, get it out. But I didn't feel that emotional. I felt physically, just like the physical discomfort distracted me, I think, from any kind of emotions I could feel. That's what it felt like. I didn't end up purging. I really, 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 really wanted to at the end, especially because there was something. Oh, she asked me 10 minutes, when I had 10 minutes left, if I wanted one more. So 7, 8. And at first I said, oh, and then I was like, yeah, give it to me. And that last 10 minutes were intense, but another message came in, and it was a big one. And I was really grateful for that. And because of that, I felt there was something specific that I wanted to release. So I did want to purge, and I didn't. I was a little bit frustrated by that. And then the rest of the day, I didn't feel that great. So I think, she says we don't have to purge. Chris didn't purge. I just wish I would have. And talking to my friend, she was like, just keep drinking water. And I wish I would have just kept drinking water and seen if something could come out. But I trust that whatever I was intending to release and what needed to release is releasing and has released, whether it's physically, energetically. I trust the medicine. I trust my body. And there's a really cool story about what came in. Like, I asked myself, like, do I need to go revisit my younger self? And okay, yeah. So all of a sudden I'm sitting there with like my 7-year-old self, and I was like growing out my bangs. It was like such an awkward stage. I had this headband on. I was so darn cute and so innocent. And there was just this message around, like, Actually, I don't really know if I'm going to tell this whole story. It's hard. It's hard to explain without sounding a little silly and sort of knowing like the trauma that happened in my life starting in elementary school and like really, really hit the peak in middle school. Was just being bullied and being made fun of and not being safe in the world and just shrinking. And there was a part in the messaging that was like, you had to forget like my specialness, my worth. I mean, whatever words, it's hard to find the right words for it, but my value, my place in the world. It was like you had to forget in order to remember. And it made so much sense. It was like the world had to like knock me down. I had to believe all the lies. I had to forget my specialness. And I had to shrink so small so that I could remember and so that I could come back and so that I could know, like, I've been this all along. And the words that kept coming to me what I wanted to release physically was this veil of amnesia. This veil of amnesia was the phrase that kept coming to me. Like, there has been a veil of amnesia and it is now lifting. And I want to get rid of that veil. I don't want to forget again. I don't want to forget that I am special and that I'm worthy and that I am powerful and that I am love and I am light and all of the things that we all are. This isn't just about me. And I wanted to release this veil of amnesia. And I wrote it in my journal the next morning. The veil of amnesia is evaporating. Those were the first words I wrote. I remember my greatness, how special I am. I don't have to hide anymore. I can remember and be safe in being seen, etc., etc. Then this happened. All right, so the morning of my ceremony, when Chris was in his ceremony, I took the girls out. We got, I couldn't have hot chocolate and chai and a pastry, but then we went to this crystal shop. We bought this oracle deck, and we didn't pick cards until yesterday, so the day after my ceremony. And I picked this card, the Magenta Dragon, which is all about higher spiritual understanding. It's about soul wisdom. I loved that. And so I go to read it, and it says, as the magenta dragons travel with us, they remind us that we are immensely wise and learned beings with so much to offer. Because we have gone through the veil of amnesia, we have forgotten who we truly are. I was like, what did I just read? Veil of amnesia. And I was like, you guys, you have to come here. And I pulled out my journal and I'm like, look at these first three words. Veil of amnesia. That, and Chris is like, I've never even heard you talk like that before. He's like, who even says that? His jaw was on the floor. The girls were losing their minds. And I felt like so excited that this message just came through me so strong. And again, so embodied and so just knowing, like, I'm done with this veil of amnesia. I'm done forgetting who I am. And then it came through in the card and I was like, dude, okay. That was just beautiful validation. It wrapped up, my three sessions with a little bow, and I'm feeling good about it. Hopefully this was interesting. Hopefully this took away some of the mystery and potential fear around this sort of medicine. I will say, this is my personal experience. This is not encouraging anybody to do anything that I am talking about. I would recommend being very clearly called and very, very clear on your intentions and why. I think feeling good about this medicine made my experience as good as it was. I feel super, super blessed to be here and to receive this medicine in this place at this time just feels very, very, I don't know. Oh, there's monkeys just right there. I'm like surrounded by freaking monkeys. This is like heaven. And cicadas, lots of cicadas. Anyways, it has been a hard few weeks for us. And to feel this sense of gratitude and support in these experiences is just, that was medicine in itself. Take what you will from this story. If you've made it this long, thank you. Felt really good to tell the stories. And let me know if you have any questions or if you have any stories to share, because I am just as curious as the next. Healing is, it's a crazy, wild roller coaster ride, and I'm here for it. See ya.